Welcome to Hail Varsity Radio, the voice of Husker Nation. Insight, opinion, expertise, with the biggest and best names talking Nebraska across the state. Join the show on Twitter at Hail Varsity and at Schmidt_radio. Call in at 402-466-ESPN or 1-800-825-5865. Here's Chris Schmidt.
Welcome to it. It's Hail Varsity Radio, presented by the Nebraska Lottery. We are on the road today, Road Show Friday at the Mercado. Certified Piedmontese, North 84th. We're here till 6. Blackshirt Husker NFLer, host of More to It, his podcast, and co-host Big Red Wrap-Up, Jay Moore is here. And Jay Bird, you got your burnt ends on the table.
I do. I wish I was more hungry. I had a couple nibbles. I had a late lunch. Went to lunch with Mav and Mom, and then I end up eating everyone's leftovers because I'm a large human. I can't help myself.
You're an NFL dude that are you going to eat that?
Yeah, he ate all his French fries, but he had the whole kids burger. I'm like, we can't let that go to waste.
No, it's out of my pocket.
Right.
So, but we are here with the great folks at Certified Piedmontese. I can't rave enough about the setup here on North 84th, and I know it's looking like 1996 Nebraska versus Colorado outside, but it's not slick.
No, it's not.
It's not slick. You can navigate your way here. We've got a T-shirt, a koozie, a football, and they have bone-in meat, okay? And it does not get any better than this. They have some of the to-go packaging right by the register here at the Mercado. North 84th, just north of Havelock Avenue on 84th, kind of catty corner from the event center. And their burnt ends, their brisket that Jay is eating, and he did share, is undefeated.
No, you shared.
Well,
let's be honest. I had first right of refusal.
Jay walks in the door. There are burnt ends on the table. He looks down and is like, huh? I'm like, dude, help yourself. It's survival, all right? And the long and short is you can get the to-go package for those burnt ends, and you'll throw them in the microwave, and you'll be smiling the rest of the night. If you're watching and maybe you have about, a friendly wager for Nebraska to cover against Minnesota tomorrow, they will help you through 4 quarters tomorrow. But no, we are here at Piedmontese, the Mercado, an incredible butcher shop, and we love being out here Friday nights before Nebraska home games. And, you know, the theme of 2020 has been thankfulness, thankful that you get to do X, Y, and Z, right? And this football season's been a long, strange trip, to quote the Grateful Dead. But Nebraska, Jay, has really got a chance to finish this right. We'll take your calls today. Want to join us? Do so at 466-3776, 466-3776, 800-825-5865 on Twitter at Schmidt_radio, at JMoore44. Tweeted Elijah Herbal. He's back in the studios. He's getting us going at Herbal Essence for Elijah. Can email Chris at hailvarsity.com. Derek Peterson to talk a little Nebraska Creighton coming up in 20 minutes. The Pride of Fairbury. NBC Sports' Bill Doleman at 5 o'clock. And then the Friday forecast, Clausburn. The way he worded it back is, if I'm not with a client, and I shudder to ask what Claus is doing with what kind of client are we talking about. But anywho, we'll have a forecast for you. Plenty of Big Ten action going on. But Jay, plenty of meat to choose here at the Mercado with Piedmontese. Phenomenal setup. If you were to associate the way Nebraska played against Purdue, what type of steak would it be?
You know, gosh, that's so good. It can't be. I want to say it's
filet.
No, it's not a filet, because that's like perfection.
Right.
So it can't be that. You know, it's either It's either a strip or a ribeye.
Okay.
You know, I would say more ribeye because that's not the
little fat to it.
Yeah, but it's not the favorite cut. It's not the, but it gets the job done.
I love ribeyes, and they are extremely tasty. But the point is you're eating steak, i.e. you want it at Purdue, right? So it's interesting, and you look at Nebraska tomorrow. Vegas says 11, maybe minus 10.5. You really don't know what's coming in with Minnesota other than they are shorthanded. They are technically going to be undermanned. As many as 20 folks could be missing. I don't know if that includes Captain Morgan at quarterback or Ibrahim, the beast, at tailback. But Nebraska right now has a chance to do a lot of things, and that's stack wins. It didn't happen Illinois week. It can happen. You beat Purdue. You get Minnesota at home. In a throwback Big Ten weather game. This could be a nice little springboard of momentum Nebraska's not had to end the season since 2018. Where are you at? Do you think, first and foremost, Nebraska's truly learned their lesson from the Illinois weekend?
I think you'll get better confirmation of that tomorrow. You've seen, although the way the defense came out and played really physical and played right up there with Iowa and shut down. I think they held Iowa to less than 125 yards, but they run the hell out of that football. So they came and brought it. So and then they showed up again for Purdue, and I think that gives you a look into. And
they're capable.
They're capable of doing this, and this team lacks maturity. That's been well documented. This team is still young, so you got to learn how to win and learn how to handle wins when you do win. And you just got to learn to prepare the right way. And I think they're getting towards that. But again, this is, you got to it's easy. We'll just see, because the two wins they've had this year.
You need proof.
Yeah, they got. What's the word I'm looking for? You got to. We always play in golf when you make a birdie, and then like we play a game where you make a birdie, then you at least have to make a par to win that bet from the. You got. God dang, what's the word I'm looking?
Validation.
Validate. You got to validate. They need to validate. So you beat Penn State, you screw up against Illinois. You beat Purdue. Can you not screw up against Minnesota? Who's coming in shorthanded? They haven't hardly practiced. They haven't played in 2 weeks. They should be rusty. Their defense can't stop a nosebleed. They're like last in the country in allowing, what are they, like 6.5, almost 7 yards per rush?
You've got a window of 6.5 to 7.5 per play against Minnesota.
Yes, right. Exactly. So you would think that Illinois game, you would learn your lesson. You would think, but again, we're dealing with young kids, and in definitely a very strange year where you want any excuses, you can probably find them in this year and use it to your, I don't want to say advantage, but to have an excuse to say why things aren't going your way. So I think we'll definitely see, can they validate, but I expect them to play well. They should play well. They should beat this team. They should beat them. I know whatever it's 10.5, 11. I think they should beat them by 3 scores, in my opinion. But
you're thinking butt kicking tomorrow.
I think the weather will have some play to it. It's going to be cold. It's kind of the first colder weather. At 11 o'clock, it's not going to be – I don't even think the high is supposed to be like mid-30s tomorrow. It's not going to be very warm. So I think it's paramount that you get the rushing game going. But my biggest thing is, where's Minnesota's heads at in all this? You sat out the couple of games. You're shorthanded. Are the coaches – I think a lot of these teams are just like, good God, can we get this over with? Like Uncle, the white flag is being,
like a good idea at the time.
Right. Yeah. I think Minnesota might be one of those teams, and we'll see. I hope we're focused, and like I said, we learned a lesson from Illinois, and we can validate a win after beating a decent Purdue team. They're not great, but listen, this team, Nebraska, is not a good football team yet. They have some good aspects to it, but you get good by having some maturity, stacking wins, showing that you can prepare the right way, overcoming adversity, which they did very well against Purdue, and we'll see what happens. But I feel very comfortable, which is never great. Usually when I'm comfortable, that means they're going to – usually I felt pretty comfortable about Illinois, then obviously that was it is what it is. But I expect them to come out and play well. I really do. I think I feel like we've heard turn the corner before a lot. I don't want to use that phrase again, but it seems like they're getting there a little bit. I think they're just grasping it a little bit, just because I think that Illinois loss was so out of the ordinary, I think, for this team this year.
It was really jarring. And listen, you've had moments in your time at Nebraska that you can maybe kind of fall back on where you guys thought it was kind of cruise control mode, and you were on some tough teams, you were on some really good teams. And you've experienced what Nebraska's gone through, either being a young team that is trying to get mature, or a mature team that put their feet up, right? Mm-hmm. Fair to say? Mm-hmm. You've experienced both spectrums, and I've seen progress in this team. I've seen poise in this team. What you haven't seen is great, clean football from this team for 4 quarters, and that's maddening for the fans and more maddening for the players, and add three expletives to the end of it for the coaching staff. But I have seen this team get better, and I think you saw them get better. It said a lot to me. Okay, the Illinois game was, you could not unsee that. And with what happened, how bad they got dominated in the trenches, Nebraska's D-lines played pretty good, and front seven, honestly, has played pretty good most of the year. They got rocked by Illinois. They wanted none of it from Illinois. And then I look at the response. I look at a guy like Damian Daniels, how he got turned and burned and moved around by that Illinois interior, and then the next week he's making 5 tackles and penetrating against a phenomenal interior for Iowa.
Yeah, the Iowa center's going to get drafted.
Yes, and then I fast forward to last weekend where Daniels comes in and is active, and that's just one guy. And then you have Cam Taylor-Britt, and then you have Stilley, and then you have Rogers doing his thing, and of course you've got Robinson, and you have Reimers, and of course Honus is playing great football. So that front seven responded the right way the last 2 weeks, and I think they can make it 3 out of 4 weeks, because that's your key. What's Mo Ibrahim going to get on first down, and what's second look like, what's third look like, because Minnesota's going to hold the football, they're going to hand off, they're going to play action. Who knows if it's going to be rainy and soppy and wet, or if you got a flurry or two, but for the most part it's dry tomorrow. Minnesota's whole key is, what are they doing with Mo on first down? And he's ran on everybody and about anybody, but they've just not had the compliments at wide receiver because of guys opting out or COVID. So Minnesota's offense has done enough this year to put up 17 to 28 points with their ground game, with their physicality. It's their defense that's been wearing blindfolds and smoking cigarettes.
That sounds like a good party.
Typically, I was going firing squad.
Yeah.
Okay, but no, I know.
It's you make this team.
I wish I could have known you earlier and partied with
you. You look at. You just go back to last week, and what did any football, it's not cliche. It's just, and it's simple and boring. You make teams one-dimensional. So how can Minnesota beat you? Probably with Ibrahim.
Yeah, 35 carries, 210 yards, a page out of the Ricky Williams book.
Sure, and so stop the run, and that's what they did against Purdue last week. Now Purdue, not a very good rushing football team, but
do you have encouragement because of what they did against Iowa?
What Purdue did?
What Nebraska did stopping the run.
Yes. Oh, yeah, without a doubt. I mean, Iowa's really good at running it, and whether it was Goodson or whoever they have back there. But that Iowa's O-line is always one of the best coached. I mean, Kirk Ferenz is one of the best O-line coaches, not only in college football, but you put him right up there in NFL. Like in any O-line coaches in the United States, he's up there. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, you hold him less. I think 122 yards total rushing in that thing, and you made stops. You got turnovers. Yeah, I don't know who's on Minnesota's. I don't have their draft grades, but I don't think they probably have 2 or 3 guys going to get drafted, probably like Iowa's line has every year. And again, we just don't know. That's just the biggest thing. You just don't know how Minnesota's going to come off of this. I think we played Illinois after they came after a win. They beat Rutgers, and even though we should have confidence and feeling good about ourselves, and got our first win against Penn State, we laid an egg. And it's just going to be interesting to see how Minnesota just comes out of this thing and just not practicing and not doing anything for 10, 12 days almost. It's just, I couldn't imagine. All of a sudden you're throwing back in here new faces, new guys. It's going to be a tough, it's going to be an interesting test for them.
I think Nebraska was too full of themselves 3 weeks ago. They've been humbled. They're hungry. And they have a very winnable game against an undermanned opponent. And I think the give-a-damn level is starting to – it's high for Nebraska because they see all this work paying off finally in wins. You saw the joy post-game with players and coaches, and they want more of it, right? That taste of victory you have talked about before. Meanwhile, there's Minnesota. It's like getting up and going to a job you hate. I mean, I think that's kind of where this Minnesota squad is at with some of the younger guys. They're excited probably for the opportunity, but it's a far cry from ideal, especially coming off of an 11-2 last year, to have the disappointment, the pauses, and the issues of COVID this year. And some of that comes down to bad luck. Some of that comes down to choices. And, teams, you've seen COVID numbers rise after a loss or, okay, our season's over officially. Let's quit.
Screw it.
Let's quit being locked in. Jay Moore's here, Chris Schmidt. It's the Road Show Friday. We're at the Mercado. Certified Piedmontese, North 84th. Derek Peterson's coming up next. It's Hail Varsity, presented by the Nebraska Lottery.
And we're back
Fellas, you think we could listen to the radio lesson?
on Hail Varsity Radio, presented by the Nebraska Lottery.
Yes! That's awesome!
Thanks for hanging out. It's a Road Show Friday. It's Hail Varsity Radio, presented by the Nebraska Lottery. We are at the Mercado, an amazing butcher shop, Piedmontese, certified Piedmontese. Come get that Christmas roast, get a steak, get some pot roast going. They have beef bacon that's incredible. They've got a leg of prosciutto on display that Tony Soprano himself may leave the Bing for to come over here and purchase. Black shirt Husker NFLer Jay Moore is here. We welcome in Nebraska basketball and football insider with HailVarsity.com and magazine, Derek Peterson, the pride of Oklahoma, joins us, and Dr. PDHV on Twitter. Derek, are you doing all right? What's up, man? How you been?
I'm good. How are you?
We have burnt ends in front of us right now, Derek. Dr. Petey, we have burnt ends brisket staring right at us. I'm doing all right.
That's good. I have preseason basketball on the docket for tonight, so it seems like the NBA just ended a couple weeks ago, and now here we are getting ready to start a new season. So I know a lot of people around here are not big NBA people, but kind of excited to see what goes on.
Well, I'm excited to see if Harden, passes a COVID test so he can get shipped. I mean, that's kind of where I'm at. That drama's nuts. Let's start off with basketball and get your take on Nebraska. What did you learn, if anything, in this young season with the Georgia Tech game, and what applies to make things at least competitive tonight for Nebraska against Creighton? This thing's supposed to be off the hook. It's been a rough 8 out of their last 9 for Nebraska basketball. I like the athletes on this team for the mayor. They just didn't finish it the right way against Georgia Tech. Can it be better? Maybe not in a win, but at least can you see some progress from Nebraska basketball tonight against the Jays?
I'm going to be completely honest with you, Schmidt, because I think you got Jacob on the next hour. He's probably the better guy to ask men's basketball. Oh, he's out? Well,
yes.
I'm going to say he's probably the better guy to ask men's basketball questions right now. If you want to talk about the women's program, I can talk about that. I've kind of been men's basketball has kind of been third on my list of priorities so far. With the way that we've started out the season, I haven't done much with them. I'm trying to focus on finishing out this football year, and women's basketball got started up. We can talk about them if you want to, but I don't know that I'm going to be able to offer much of value on the men's basketball front.
No worries. A quick look at basketball. I'm going to get your take on the hoops game anyway, since I got you on. But some impressions, though. I mean, Nebraska's got some bodies. They've got some dudes. Creighton's got a bunch of shooters, man.
Yeah, I mean, if you just look at Nebraska's roster, I mean, I haven't watched them like with a fine-tooth comb this season, but the versatility that they have, Delano Banton, 6'9" point guard, is huge. I was watching Trey McGowan's a little bit against Georgia Tech, and you know, the joke was there that he comes from the school of Chris Paul and went to a couple of Chris Paul camps when he was a kid, probably. But I think the thing with them is it seems like they have a lot of just really, really smart basketball players. And they've got a lot of guys that just feel the game at a higher level. And so, you know, you try to kind of put guys into buckets and say, well, Delano Banton's a 6'9" point guard. Who's playing center for them? Who's playing, you know, positions X, Y, and Z for them? I don't know if it's necessarily that, or if it's more this is as positionless a basketball team as I think you're going to find. And, you know, that really, you know, that lets Fred be creative. That lets Fred do some of the innovative stuff that he's known for, that he's made a career out of. And, you know, I think, I don't know, but I think that they've played some fun basketball so far. So, I mean, if you just look at the construction, look at the way that they're built, it seems like it can be as modern a program or as modern a style as you'll find in the Big Ten.
And that could be an advantage for Nebraska. The downside of it is, are they going to get rocked from a physicality standpoint in the Big Ten? You can go positionless on offense, but what do you got when it comes to your defense and rebounding? Now, they did a great job rebounding against Georgia Tech. They just kind of lost some focus down the stretch on Alvarado, who took over. But we'll see where things go tonight against Creighton. And Creighton had a heartbreaker where they had a chance, Derek, with free throws to at least send it to overtime down at the Fog. Didn't go Creighton's way. But it's going to be a weird atmosphere, man. And you've covered a lot of games where there's been nobody in the stands, and that just feels wrong. Jay and Derek, tonight you're at CHI for Nebraska Creighton, and it's just a few friends and family tonight. That's hard for these guys, I would think.
Yeah, it's certainly weird. You know, like I was at the women's basketball opener, the Big Ten opener, last night, and you know, you could really tell that Illinois' coaching staff, the bench, all the support people, the trainers over there, they were really making a concerted effort to be loud, bring some energy so that their players on the court could feel it. And, you know, it's kind of interesting to see the various ways that teams are going about trying to bring some juice when there's not the typical fan environment. And I know you wanted to ask about, you know, game specific stuff, but if I could offer just one more kind of big picture thing on Fred's program. You talked about, you know, the disadvantage being size with the way that they play. One of I think the big long-term advantages of you know, playing like this and maybe excelling like this is really marketable to kids. And it's really marketable to guys that want to go play in the NBA, because a lot of the stuff that Fred does, I mean, he was in the NBA. He played in it, and he coached in it. He was a front office guy in it. A lot of the stuff that he does, you find it in the NBA. And you know, I think, you know, he doesn't have to play like a traditional, I should say he doesn't have to, you know, play this amoeba-like 1 through 5 lineup every single season, but to show the ability that he can do it, to show the ability that he can do some of that modern stuff, and he can have success with these guys and make these guys look appealing to the NBA. It's going to be really marketable to kids. And you know, you see it with Bryce McGowan's a 5-star commit, headed toward the program, and like, he has brothers here, but at the same time, like, Fred's marketability is a big piece of that.
Derek Peterson's with us, HailVarsity.com and magazine. Derek, let's switch gears to football. And your thoughts on, you talk about bringing juice. What's the gas tank level look like for Minnesota? They are depleted. They have some really talented players. We just don't know who's going to be tackling or carrying the football tomorrow. What's your view on Saturday here for Nebraska, Minnesota here? Some concerns and some confidences for and against for Nebraska tomorrow.
Yeah, I think just looking at the Minnesota side of things, like, they're not going to roll over, I don't think. I think the guys that are out there are going to be somewhat motivated. They haven't been on the field since November 20th. This hasn't been the season that any of those guys wanted to have, thought they were going to have. I would expect them to be a motivated team. P.J. Fleck brings the energy. I know there's not a ton of people that are big fans of P.J. Fleck around these parts, but I think he's a guy that can motivate his team. I think they'll be hungry to play. And so, from Nebraska's perspective, they've got to match the energy. I don't think that'll be an issue. I think Nebraska will be motivated because you start to think about where we're at with this team. There's a not so unrealistic chance that these guys can have a winning season when it's all said and done, right? You start with, and that's a remarkable thing to say considering where we were, 3 weeks ago coming out of that Illinois game, or 2 weeks ago, or whenever it was. Like, you get one against Minnesota. You come out and you keep the good vibes rolling. It seems like Nebraska's offense is trending in the right direction. The defense has been good for most of the season. If you keep things rolling, you get to 3-4. Then you got the +1 game. Nebraska would be motivated for that. Would the other team be motivated for that? I don't know. But I think Nebraska would be because that +1 game gives them an opportunity at 500 on the season, which they would really want, I would imagine. And then, you get that, and you're talking about a bowl game with a chance to get to a winning record. So I think, you look at the way that this kind of lays out for them, and then you just listen to some of the things that were said this week by players. I think one of the more remarkable things is that these guys, all throughout this process, this team loves their coach. This team loves, the guys that are in that locker room. And I think there's something to be said for just how they've been able to kind of endure adversity, and so much of it, if you're talking about the senior class. I think things maybe are trending in the right direction right now. Now, like we've seen over the last couple of years, like how fickle that can be with Nebraska and how quickly it can turn, and it can look like, well, they took a step forward, but now here they've taken 2 steps back. Mm-hmm. But this, that Purdue game and just the reaction to it from them, it kind of felt like, one of those turning points. And so, I think you get into Minnesota, they're going to be depleted, they're going to be shorthanded, but they're still going to bring the energy. And I think Nebraska too will come out raring to go. I am really curious if presented with the opportunity, if Frost sticks with his kind of patented, I want the ball first, I'm going to go score, or if the trend of the last 2 weeks where they get it to start the second half continues. Because, the last 2 games, obviously they lost to Iowa, but the last 2 games they scored on that first possession of the second half, and they doubled up against Iowa. And that Purdue drive to open the third quarter was really impressive.
It was much needed, and you've seen the defense kind of set the tone, be the spark, get the stops, and then the offense is finally starting to complement. And you look at Minnesota's defense, and you look at what Nebraska did against a similar defense that wasn't locked down in Purdue. You'd think it could be a good day for the Nebraska offense, and defense will have to bring their hard hat again. Derek Peterson with us, HailVarsity.com and magazine. Derek, we'll see you at the stadium tomorrow, but thanks for jumping on with us today.
Yep, thanks for having me.
All right, there he is, Dr. Petey with us, Derek Peterson. Good stuff, and appreciate his take on some Husker hoops as well. Jay Moore is here, Black Shirt Husker NFLer, co-host Big Red Wrap-Up, his podcast More to It. We're at the Mercado, an amazing butcher shop, North 84th here, just north of Havelock Avenue. And the certified Piedmontese, folks, beef, the official beef of Nebraska. It's incredible. We'll talk a little revenge factor as Minnesota-Nebraska looms tomorrow. It's Hail Varsity Roadshow Friday on ESPN.
And now,
back to Hail Varsity Radio.
Thanks for hanging out. We're at the Mercado here, North 84th, certified Piedmontese. Tell you what, you want a great cut of meat for the grill. I know it's a little damp in 1996 Nebraska, Colorado-esque outside, but I tell you what, they have to-go burnt ends that are phenomenal. Jay, we've sampled those, and they are extremely tasty. They've got some pot roast for you. They have, of course, kielbasa. They have chorizo. They have burgers. They have fish. They have, if you're a salmon fan or you have someone in that family that's a salmon fan, they have salmon. So we invite you out here. We're here till 6, and they are open Monday through Sunday from 10 to 7 here at the Mercado. Certified Piedmontese, the official beef for Nebraska. Coming up, we'll check in with the Pride of Fairbury, Bill Doleman with us of NBC Sports. Clouds burning the forecast in 1 hour. Black Shirt Jay Moore is here. Chris Schmidt, thanks for spending time. Elijah Herbal back at our ESPN studios. So, Jay, we have talked about where Nebraska has the advantage. They'll be in a good headspace. There's some momentum. They've been playing good defense. The offense looks to be clicking with the opportunity to have some big plays against a, dare I say, boat that is leaky defensively with Minnesota. But let's just get into the dish that is best served cold. That is revenge. Uh-huh. How much did revenge or a previous season's butt kicking play into teeing off against a team a year later? Is that a real thing as a college football player? If you're a Nebraska football player, you got curb stomped like you're cool. They got put out on Eddie Murphy's floor. All right?
American History X style.
Well, I was thinking more of Trading Places, sure. The Holiday Classic, where they're putting cools out on Eddie's floor. Lewis. Okay? And that's what Minnesota did to Nebraska, running the football. Mo Washington wanted no part of running between the tackles with the offensive line trying to open the holes, which they did. Running back didn't do his job. It was a mess last year in Minneapolis. We were up there doing pre- and post games just across from the stadium, and, man, Minnesota was ready. That really –
Minnesota was good last year.
They were good, but that win felt different for them, because they got destroyed the year before. Well, that was Frost's first Big Ten win, where you put up 56 on Fleck and Company in 18. They rock you 34-7 last year, and now kind of Nebraska's not limping. Minnesota seems to be crawling to the finish line.
Yeah, I think revenge comes into play Monday through Thursday, when you have to get your work in. You have to, because it does get monotonous, and this time of the season it's a grind. Now, this is only going to be their 7th game. It's not like it's potentially your 11th or 12th game like it would have been if we had a normal season. This would have been the last game, the 12th game of the season. So it is a grind. But if you need some extra motivation, you just put that final score up on a scoreboard inside the stadium 34-7. Like, you guys were terrible last year, and you guys got manhandled. You were out physicaled. You were beat up front, and this cannot happen again. None of this can happen again. So that would serve good motivation for revenge during the week, just to get you through that grind. But I think once you get into the game, you have to kind of get in your.
You got to go play.
You got to go play in your mode. You always hear like boxers and MMA fighters talk like, I can't think about killing him. I can't just go after him. I have to play within myself. I can't give myself up. I can't, I have to stay cool and calm and understand that there's going to be some ups and downs. I have to stay. You have to stay within yourself. You just can't go out there and say, I'm going to. You do. You have to. You go 1,000 miles an hour, but it's like a reserved. It's like a cruise control type deal. It's just not floor it, and you're just keeping that thing there for 60 minutes. It's okay. I put my work in to help me. The revenge factor helped me during the week. But once that football's kicked and we're playing against Minnesota, I gotta keep my head. I gotta keep control. I got to know what I'm doing. I have to execute my responsibilities. I got to execute the calls. I have to pay attention to checks and motions and in splits and stances and so all this kind of stuff. So you have to be on top of this and be on point. And if you sometimes get a little ahead of yourself and you think about revenge, you can kind of just get too far over your skis. And next thing you know, you're kind of tumbling down the mountain instead of cruising at a good speed and doing your thing.
It's useful. It helps motivate. It helps lock in. It can punch that emotional button, but you can't be. You need to play with emotion, but you can't be emotional.
Correct.
Fair?
Yes.
And I think Nebraska has that elephant memory. A lot of the guys, I mean, if you're stilly and they ran it on you like they did.
Yeah.
And, it's been an interesting series against the Gophers, quite honestly, because you go back before this staff even where you've had some out-of-the-blue games where in 17 they ran for 450 against you with a quarterback draw.
Mm-hmm.
In 16, you go up there, first play of the game, newbie sprints to the end zone.
Yep.
15 is a tight ball game. 14, you're up double digits, and poor DPE gets rocked on the goal line, and there's a fumble, and it's a 28-24. Minnesota. Jerry Keel had a great thing rolling, and then Dilly Bar was a nice 9-4, except that they didn't retain him, and then they go get Fleck, PJ Fleck's a lot of things. I think he's a good developer, he's a good motivator, and I think he is a good coach. But the personality is a whole different thing, and if you take a unofficial anonymous poll of people around football, people around old school coaches and new school coaches, his persona is tough to take because they think he's super fake.
Oh, yeah, I think he's ruffled a few feathers with that. I think you can see through it, with his kind of good boy mantra. I wear a tie, and I sprint. I beat my team down, and
see, and
that's okay because you have to bring the juice. You have to have the energy. In college, kids need that. You do that in the NFL, then these guys are going to look at you like you're an idiot. But you need to have that in college football. You have to bring the juice. How about all the goofball strength coaches that Northwestern has doing all the crazy stuff?
May one of them rest in peace.
Right. So. You find just weird ways to get to your team, and that's just one of his ways. But yeah, I would definitely agree that he has ruffled some feathers because we've heard rumors or stories behind the scenes of what he's done and what he's been like, and I don't think we need to get into it.
I enjoyed him sitting down at media days 2 summers ago. He's got his plaid sport coat on. Which is great, but the best part of that was his new wife sitting near him.
Yeah, you mentioned Bada Bing.
Yeah.
with Tony Soprano, so just connect the dots there.
Yes. If you're a fan of prosciutto, if you're a fan of incredible steaks, of course, ribeyes here at the Mercado, the certified Piedmontese, the official beef of Nebraska. The Huskers love it. We are up here on North 84th, just north of Havelock Avenue, here till 6. Roadshow Friday. The weather's not that awful for an incredible steak or roast, and the burnt ends are to die for. And Jay Moore can attest to that. We'll wind down hour 1 at Hail Varsity, presented by the Nebraska Lottery.
And now,
back to Hail Varsity Radio.
Bill Doleman's coming up, the Pride of Fairbury. We're at the Mercado Roadshow Friday, certified Piedmontese, North 84th. Are you going to do a Christmas roast? Are you thinking some prime rib? Are you thinking some short ribs? How about a strip steak or a T-bone or a ribeye? They've got it for you here at the Mercado. They've got a leg of prosciutto staring at me. Tony Soprano would be smiling right now. A reminder about 2020 and into 2021. Maybe you're moving and you're looking for that home around Lincoln or a residential situation. West Blue Realty, they do an amazing job. And the names you need to know with West Blue Realty, Tom Luby and Kelly Hofschneider, they are fantastic. When you mention Hail Varsity, West Blue Realty can provide you up to $1,000 on the closing of your next home purchase. Give Tom Luby a phone call at 402-540-3600. 3768, or Kelly Hofschneider, 402-202-2312. It pays to work with West Blue. Get an appointment today with Tom Luby or Kelly Hofschneider, 1120 K Street, Suite 200. Jay Moore is here. Chris Schmidt and Elijah Herbal back at our ESPN studios. Friday forecast is on the way. We will make our picks. Elijah, are you looking at something for a steak and a beer bet later on?
I'm still in the process of evaluating. I don't want to go Broncos 2 weeks in a row. There's a lot of pressure on this one. I could still get back to even over the next 3 weeks. So
you can pray for that, yes. I don't know that I will let you get back to even. I had a great 6-0 run, and then it is what it is. So Friday forecast is coming up. Black Shirt Jay is here. Bird, what is we got a minute or two here before we step away. What's the video play you broke down and focused on for Big Red Rapid this week? What kind of caught your eye from a Chalk Talk standpoint of defense or offense for Nebraska?
Yeah, the one defensively I did. I mean, Nebraska's been really good and in the secondary as well, but I broke down how the number 22 Purdue's running back, I can't think of his name, but he caught that one out of the backfield.
He looks like a Bond villain.
But he caught it, and they were in the red zone, and I used, sometimes you just got to know where your help is. And I think the defense on that situation did not
Was that the seam route where they looked off and sent Rondale in motion?
Yeah, motion. They went motion towards Nebraska's sideline, and then Honus came down really quickly. And he could have got a jam onto the running back coming out of the backfield, but he didn't. He was so quick to go to the flat, which he didn't need to be because he had JoJo Doleman right there with him in the flat. So you got to understand where help is. Don't be in such a rush. I use a term, a John Wooden phrase, be quick but not in a hurry, right?
Sure.
So, and then you had, on the back end, you had Deontay Williams because they did run a tight end up the seam, and you had Luke Reimers was there. Then you had Cam Taylor-Britt was sitting back there too, and then Deontay comes over. They really had double coverage already on this tight end, and Deontay Williams comes over as well. It's like, again, know where your help is. Kind of know where – so then he could have came back and maybe,
made a play on the ball
or tackled him at the 5. It's just simple things like that, understanding where your help is. And they've done a really good job all year long. But that was just one instance where I just thought they just got too quick. And I said, they did a good job with Rondale Moore and David Bell.
They had 5 guys around him every time.
But, just one instance like, there's Rondale Moore. We got to be quick to him. It's like, well, not necessarily. You let him catch it there on the flat, and you rally and make the play. So that's just one instance where I thought they were a little too aggressive and just got, a little too over their skis.
That's Jay Moore. Chris Schmidt, we're here at the Mercado. North 84th certified Piedmontese. And we are coming back. Hour 2 is on the way. It's Hail Varsity Radio. Bill Doleman shortly.
Welcome to Hail Varsity Radio, the voice of Husker Nation. Insight, opinion, expertise, with the biggest and best names talking Nebraska across the state. Join the show on Twitter at Hail Varsity and at Schmidt_radio. Call in at 402-466-ESPN or 1-800-825-5865. Here's Chris Schmidt.
Thanks for hanging out. It's Hour 2. It's Hail Varsity Radio, presented by the Nebraska Lottery here at the Mercado. North 84th, certified Piedmontese, the official beef for Nebraska football. Jay Moore is here, Chris Schmidt, and we had a bunch of dudes just roll out here with a lot of butcher paper filled with incredible selection. Randy is here, and he's loading up on some beef jerky, and I think he got a couple of ribeyes. They've got a prosciutto leg on display, and prosciutto's incredible. I mean, Tony Soprano used to inhale it on The Sopranos. And I know as long as there's one for me up there by the register, I'm going to buy and take with me tonight the brisket burnt ends. We had a chance to sample Jay Moore. They are incredible, especially when you get the one piece of burnt end that's like all crusted, right?
Yes.
It's so good. It's so good. We bring in our favorite member from the Fairbury community. He is the pride of Fairbury, NBC Sports. It is Bill Doleman time. Billy D, happy Friday. How are you?
Well, I'm like everybody else excited for the afternoon because it's biathlon time on the networks of NBC Sports, NBCSN. In fact, I think I'm on right now, so I'm not going to encourage everybody to turn off your show, but perhaps you can, after I'm done, just turn it back on.
Well, that's very key. They can listen to us and watch with they can mess with the volumes, is what I'm saying, right? So everybody's happy.
Keep digging.
That's right. Bill, a busy Friday. It's Nebraska-Creighton tonight, and you have Nebraska-Minnesota tomorrow. Let's start with hoops. And I know you've been busy with NBC work, but I'm sure you kind of peaked at Nebraska-Georgia Tech. You know all about Nebraska-Creighton. You've called a lot of those games in your career. What's your read and vibe on Hoiberg's squad? I think they're better than last year, clearly, with some dudes, but they had a tough finish to Georgia Tech. What's your feel for tonight against Creighton? And Creighton's loaded. They're really good. They could be a Final Four squad. How are you looking at things tonight?
Well, Tom Atkey's got it going on at Creighton. There's no doubt about that. But I still just don't get that rivalry or whatever it is. I don't understand Creighton's, I don't want to say dominance, but I don't understand how Nebraska has not been able to have more success against Creighton over the last 10 or 15 years. It just doesn't make any sense to me. But it is what it is, which is one of my least favorite statements of all time. Look, I think Nebraska, looks better. But as I watched the Georgia Tech game the other day, I'm thinking this is like every Nebraska team that I've watched, minus I think the talent level. This is a really good-looking basketball team. But they do things that that you've seen over the years, and just jacking up threes and shooting for shooting sake, and not necessarily sometimes it looks like not shooting to make. It's just like, well, our idea is to go down and jack up 41 threes. If we make 9, well, we did. I'll tell you what. As I was watching that game the other night, it reminded me of the old Houston Cougars football team of the run and shoot days when John Jenkins was the coach. And my friend David Klingler was the quarterback, and then Andre Ware. And
don't forget Hazard.
Yeah, but I remember back in the day where it was, in fact, I had this conversation once with Andre Ware, which you'll never remember, but this was like 20 years ago, and there was flirtations with Coach Osborne to come down and go to return to coaching at the University of Houston, blah blah blah, and Andre's going, why do we want him, man? He runs the option. We don't want to run no option here. And I'm like, we beat teams 56-7. You lost to teams 56-52. And it was just like, we are so sexy with what we do, but it doesn't really matter if we win or lose. Look at the numbers we put up. And it's kind of that, and I'm watching the Nebraska basketball team thing. It's the same thing. It's style over substance. The other night, and it was just really frustrating. It's like, what's the stat sheet look like? It's okay. We shot 41 threes. That's part of our offense. Okay, whatever. I know it wasn't 41. That was the other day. But it sometimes it just seems, look how sexy we are, and then you look at the final score, and it's like, well, you lost. And that's what my conversation with Andre was you may not like running the option, but we sure as hell liked winning 60 times in 5 years and 3 national championships and 250 times over 25 years. And that's kind of what it reminds me of sometimes. It's just a stylish thing, and maybe that's why Creighton plays a little more and has over 15 years more disciplined brand of basketball. But I sure as hell would like to see Nebraska, jack up 41 threes and make 20 of them and win tonight. I'd be okay with that.
I think that'd be good. You had a guy that's on paper, and when it comes to shoot around, is crushing a high level of threes that only took 5 shots. And granted, Latman had foul trouble, but 2 for 5 from the floor. That's it. And he's got a great 3-point stroke. You had Teddy Buckets get into some foul trouble earlier in the season, but he had a rough night, 4-16 against that 1-3-1. And then Nebraska just they were not locked in the final 7 or 8 minutes on Alvarado, who took over, and he'd watched most of the game. I mean, he played 27 minutes, okay? He sat out because he had 4 fouls. So we'll see if Nebraska's better disciplined with some of their shot selection. I mean, the pace and space thing I think can work. But, man, it looks like a familiar movie with Nebraska. And this isn't a shot at Fred. I like Fred and I like the talent he's got. But just you've seen Nebraska teams over the years launch threes, and even if they're not going in. And you just can't live or die that way, Bill.
And I'm a disciplinarian kind of guy. I certainly don't want to go back to Moiba ball, all right? But I just think a little more discipline in making shots as opposed to just taking shots within the context of the offense. You know, it just seems to me like you said, I've seen that movie before, and you know it's been for several years. I know it's kind of sexy and it attracts recruits and great, you know, big talent and all that. Like, look at the style of play, and wouldn't that be fun? You know, if there were 15,000 people packed in, but it's like. I'd rather you shoot 11 threes, make 7 of them, and win a game, you know, as opposed to 9 for 41. And again, I know that's not what it was against Georgia Tech, but it sure did seem like it. And, you know, I'm listening to the game with, I think the analyst was John Crispin, and he's doing the game from his living room, and the play-by-play guy's doing the game from his living room. And I think that guy's a pretty good analyst, but I heard him say, like, that's okay. If they're taking these shots, that's okay. That's what they want to do. Like, they want to make them, or they should want to make them, not just, you know, launch them. So anyway, that's my 2 cents on it. I would rather see the option be successful than the run and shoot. You know, the option be successful and go 11-1 as opposed to, you know, 7-4.
Bill Doleman's with us, Pride of Fairbury, Hail Varsity Radio, Roadshow Friday. Chris Schmidt and Jay Moore and Elijah Herbal were here at the Mercado. Just a phenomenal butcher shop. Get that Christmas roast or prime rib, North 84th, north of Havelock Avenue. Come see us. We're here till 6. They are open 10 to 7 Monday through Sunday. Every day for you. Just a phenomenal spot. We had such a great Thanksgiving short rib and prime rib. It was tremendous. Certified Piedmontese, the official beef of Nebraska. Billy D, let's talk beef. Line of scrimmage. Nebraska better against Purdue. And the defense showed up, did well. They really rallied to the football and didn't really have many missed tackles. Offensively, the run game was better with Mills in. Adrian looked much more Adrian-like, and you got a 10-point win on the road. What's your gauge tomorrow as Fleck has a hole in one part of the boat and he's missing an oar?
Look, this is Nebraska against Illinois, all right?
All right.
They had a nice game against Penn State. They get the win, and they come back and they play Illinois and I'm going back through my mental Rolodex here, and arguably one of the worst Nebraska football games I have probably ever seen in terms of effort. So you come off the Purdue game, played pretty well on the road, nothing real spectacular, let him back in when you shouldn't have, but nevertheless, I thought the defense played well. I thought they got the sense as the game went on that Purdue's really not very good, and that they, you know, could make, you know, they could rush the passer. I thought the secondary played great. Nebraska did what it should have done, but it should not have been that interesting down the stretch. Nevertheless, now you've got Nebraska after a positive weekend, beating Purdue. You cannot have the same effort that you showed against Illinois. I don't care how wounded Minnesota might be. If they are that wounded, then you better go in for the kill. You know, they haven't played since, November 3rd or November 30th or March. I don't know when the last time Minnesota played was. And they beat Purdue as well. They're without, 20 players. Their best player decides, I don't want to be here anymore. So this team is limping into Lincoln, and you better go kick the sore leg and wound the good leg. Because
sweep the leg.
You cannot have the same kind of performance that you did against Illinois, let down after win, and think it's going to be easy. This needs to be arguably the most impressive performance certainly of this season. And I think the Ohio State game was actually pretty good. for the effort, the execution against that team. But Nebraska needs to just pour it on Minnesota, especially after what happened last year, right? They kind of embarrassed you up there. That should have been competitive, and it wasn't. This cannot be competitive.
Bill, yeah, I totally agree. You got to, if they're showing any blood, you got to make the kill. You got to do it right away and get them early. And this team I imagine would quit because there's just nothing left to play for this year. Let me look back at the Northwestern game, and you pull Adrian Martinez to put in Luke McCaffrey. Did we overreact? Did the offense, did the coaching staff, did us as a general fan base overreact to Adrian Martinez and his performance against Northwestern? Because what I'm seeing the last couple of games is, I mean, he's been shown those signs for a couple of years now. But do we overreact to that performance and maybe not give Northwestern enough credit as a defense that they have, and maybe we should have just kept them in the whole time?
No. I think that was. I think Nebraska has. I don't mean this in a bad way. I think they've let Adrian, do his thing, and not do what he needed to do for our thing, if you will. I think that he came in as the guy. That's the guy Scott wanted. He was making the overnight trips to California to recruit him when he was still at Central Florida, right? So, I think Adrian had it all handed to him to a certain extent. Now, he's proven to be a good leader. He says all the right things. He seems to be a high-character guy. So all the respect in the world to him. He's a great representative for the University of Nebraska, and he said the right things after the game the other day, and I really respect him for that. But I think that Scott had to send a message at some point, and he hadn't necessarily done it. And so putting McCaffrey in there and letting Luke get some experience that he needs, right, and sending whatever message it was to Adrian, and then starting McCaffrey against Penn State. He played reasonably well. I think that's a message that had to be sent. I think it was a message that was received. So, no, I don't think that, I think maybe it went on too long. Maybe this should have been done before. But I think that Adrian needed to be humbled a little bit. And I think, McCaffrey getting that win over Penn State probably really lit the fire. If Nebraska loses to Penn State with McCaffrey at the quarterback, maybe you get a little attitude like, see, you should have played me. But that's not what happened. Mm-hmm. Martinez sees McCaffrey go in there and get a win, right? And now it's like, man, they're serious about this quarterback competition. I got to step it up. Now, has Martinez been perfect? And I know he's been 82% or whatever it is the last couple of games. But good Lord, we don't throw a pass over 8 yards, right? There is still no deep threat with that Nebraska football team. And I think at some point that's got to develop, even though we're at the end of this year. But let's start to see that field stretch a little bit. We were more of a downfield threat back in the 90s when, Brendan Holbein and Corey Dixon were our guys, right? John Vedral.
Good old Gerald Armstrong.
Right. So I think we need to, yes, we had a win, but I think we need to see that field stretch just a little bit to make Adrian even more of a threat. And maybe that opens up the offense a little bit more. That's the thing that's really missing right now. But I think sitting him when they did and letting McCaffrey play against Penn State and getting a win, message received.
Bill Doleman with us, the Pride of Fairbury, NBC Sports. Bill, about 30 seconds. Need your prediction for tomorrow, Nebraska, Minnesota.
Well, I go back, a couple of years with Nebraska football, and I can remember watching television one night when the game wasn't on all that often, and network television, I think, breaking in and saying, look what Nebraska did to Minnesota in 1980, what was it, 83? 84-13?
Yep.
Yeah. I think we see a repeat of that.
So Gill and Fryer and Rozier are going to be heading up to the old Metrodome. Okay.
Yeah.
Love it.
I don't know why you laugh, but okay. If you don't respect my pick,
So Dolan says they cover the 10.5. All right.
Yeah.
Billy D, good to get caught up with you, man. Thanks for making time today.
All right, go Big Red and go Biathlon.
There he is, Bill Doleman with us on Hail Varsity.
Chime in 402-466-ESPN or email the show, Chris@HailVarsity.com.
Just try me. Try me.
Back to Hail Varsity Radio.
Thanks for hanging out. Friday night, Hail Varsity Road Show Friday. Chris Schmidt, Jay Moore, Elijah Herbal. We're on the road here at the Mercado. Certified Piedmontese, the official beef of Nebraska. They are open 10 to 7. And your chance to come in here before 6, or when it's convenient for you, get yourself a couple of ribeyes, get yourself some strips. They've got prosciutto. They have beef bacon. And they have some incredible burnt end briskets for you to take with you. A little to-go bag that's incredible. We are here till 6, and we've enjoyed being out here with Certified Piedmontese at the Mercado. Able to get some bone-in prime rib for the Schmidt family Thanksgiving, along with some short ribs. Threw them on the smoker. They are incredible. Tony and Lucas, phenomenal. They picked out great cuts of meat, and Uncle Mark got it all slathered up with a little oil and salt and pepper, and get the smoker going. Poured a cocktail or 8, and we ate so heartily. You're invited out here to Piedmontese, North 84th, just north of Havelock Avenue. You have the Mercado, an incredible butcher shop. We want you to check this out if you have not yet. So we will get into some story time with Mike Leach shortly. As the Pirate was with us yesterday, he talked about signing items. And, of course, more from the Pirate. He put on a little concert. You know, it's holiday season, and sometimes you go to church and you have folks with the white gloves on ringing the bells. Mm-hmm. You know, Pirate was signing some cowbells yesterday, and we played Name That Tune. So Lincoln's mayor was responding to a suggestion by 1011 meteorologist Bill Rentschler. And the suggestion was you have some new plows, right? Some new plows for the capital city. You got a new fleet of plows.
Much needed new plows.
So let's name these bad boys. And there's some Twitter love going on with what you name a plow. and why not name the plows? Here's what came to my mind. A, the pipeline. You have Sty and Zadiska and Joel Wilkes and Wiegert and Aaron Graham, right? What a big time offensive line unit that was. So that you could name each new snowplow after one of the starting 5 for the 94 pipeline. I think you could also go throwback, and you could have a plow named Schlesinger. Mm-hmm. You could have a plow named Makovica. We can coin flip for Joel or Jeff. And I know Joelster, next time he sees me, will punch me in the arm, you know, if there's a debate, right? And both were fantastic. I'm partial to Mark Shaleen. Bill Doleman referenced 84-13.
We could think of a lot of, Dane Todd.
Dane Todd's phenomenal. We love Dane Todd. But that was the fullback you played with.
Yeah, we came in together. Yeah, it's Dr. Dane Todd now.
I get it.
Dr. Dane Todd.
And Sammy Schmidt, my always called me Sammy, because they said, there's a Schmidt playing at Nebraska, and that's the only one that'll ever be playing in Nebraska. So we're gonna take his first name.
I was thinking of it. Steve Krewald.
Yes, from Pius.
No, he was from
Paul Castle's.
Paul Castle from Pius. Krewald was from he was from 8-Man Land.
Okay, who's the fullback who got into field goal range down at Oklahoma during the Adrian Peterson era, where Callahan called a timeout to kick a field goal?
That's probably Krewald. That was 04. That was his senior year.
Okay.
That was probably. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, that would have been Krewald's year.
Yeah.
To cover the spread.
Well, yeah,
cover the 30.
It covered the 30. No, I remember it because that was the roughneck throat slit game, wasn't it?
Well, that was the pregame. That's where.
Who was the offensive lineman?
Yeah, Darren DeLone.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a wild situation. That was
reset.
Yeah. So 04, we're down there. It was my first time. It was my only time I ever played in Norman. And, God, this was about – it was state – I remember it was around state volleyball around here. So it had been, what, November-ish, mid-November-ish?
It was either late October or November.
Yeah.
But it got ugly.
Yeah, so we're down there, and the Roughnecks, which after this situation, I don't even think they're allowed to be around us, but they were down there. You know, they got those big paddles. And
the Roughnecks are the Oklahoma cheer section that are in all white, and they have firearms.
Yes, yeah, they had those. And they have those boards, whatever, too. They had these paddles, and they were slapping these paddles against that brick wall, and then they would shoot these shotguns off. I mean, there's no obviously BBs in it, but it's making the exact, and it would scare the hell out of you. And they were literally,
I can see,
you know, and we would do our O-line, D-line warm-ups down in the end zones, and they were right around us. So then we came together as an O-line, D-line, and they were right there, right? They are, you know, you have the end zone, then you have the boundaries, the white, and we were just running our normal, you know, working on our reach blocks or base blocks. Mm-hmm. Well, Darren, you know, I can't remember who he was going against, but just kind of made sure he couldn't stop himself so quickly.
So he intentionally ran in and smoked.
Well, it was
Roughnecks.
This was a lawsuit. Like there was this. I think Darren and a couple guys, like Coach Blake and Coach Wagner, a lot of guys had to go to court over all this because the kid hit on his butt, and then his head went and hit the brick, and I think he was out.
So he got knocked out.
He got knocked out, and there's blood. I think he bit through his tongue or something like that.
Oh my God!
Like it was bad news. Like it was not at the time.
Darren Doleman has not traveled to the state of Oklahoma in 16 years.
There was a lawsuit over this. Yes, I remember there was some sort of thing that went down. I didn't have to go, but whoever was on that side, there's a couple D linemen, a couple O linemen, and the coaches had to go down and be.
So what was, because Blake knew Oklahoma,
right? Obviously,
and he coached down there, and he went there, and then Coach Wagner, who he just wrapped up his tenure in Iowa. Dennis Wagner. Who's he with now? One of the smaller Iowa schools.
Yeah.
He's no longer coaching there. We'll just say it that way. But I loved Wagner on the offensive line, how he recruited. But so, how did the coaches react? Or were they sick of the Roughnecks?
Well, we were all sick of it. They were just being a bunch of idiots down there. And it's just, but they did not. Yeah. There's a lot of other words, and they deserved it. They 100% deserved it, and that's why they're not down there anymore. I mean, they were right. They did not give us our space. They were yelling, you know, all sorts of expletives and stuff, and then shooting those guns off and saying all these things. They 1,000% deserved it. Each and every one of them deserved to get thrown against a brick wall.
Dan tweets in, they were shooting guns and throwing fruit at my players. That was Bill Callahan, Billy C's tweet, and he went with the redneck take, too, didn't he? On the sideline.
I think he said effing hillbillies.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if we watch Ozark, there's a difference between redneck and hillbilly.
Thank you.
One that'll cost you something. Mm-hmm. So, difference. Roughnecks, are they worse than the A&M Yell?
Oh yeah, by far. They're the Yell squad at A&M. They're
just weirdos.
Yeah, and they're just more respectable.
Okay.
They're more. I think they have. They're more military-esque to them, so they're a little more respectable, and they're not right there. They're not right down on you. Okay. And the field's a little more spread out at A&M, so they were never right there. I don't remember anybody being right there. We were warmed up when we were down A&M my senior year, but those Roughnecks there from Oklahoma. They were every one of them needed to get thrown against it. Yeah.
See, when I see A&M, I just think that some of the dudes that are in the stands at A&M, specifically their drum corps, it's like they're ready to invade Poland. I mean, the way they're just they're just a little different. Here's a shirt, man. Thanks for coming by. All right. So it's interesting, but I never tire of hearing, because Nebraska, Oklahoma has always been pretty respectful.
Yeah, it is. But anywhere you go, there's nasty fans. I mean, So, that's one instance. Mizzou Oklahoma fans are terrible. All fans are away fans are terrible to players, except for maybe us here at Nebraska. I'm sure, obviously, we have our bad eggs. But
if you had to rank them, you were in Boulder when they chucked empty bottles. Mm-hmm. Okay, you were down at Oklahoma for the Roughneck incident where dude bit through his tongue after Darren Doleman reach blocked him. And were you down in Columbia?
Yeah, where they took a a leak on our bus.
Well, hold on. I didn't know this.
Yeah.
What happened?
So down there, well, you're probably referring to another instance. You're referring to the Kellen Houston.
Yeah, was that 03?
That was 03. I was not on that trip. But that was Kellen Houston knocking a guy out and they stormed the field. That was another whole lawsuit, I believe.
That was the game, man, because you guys
were up.
You were up.
It was a
10
Thursday night
points.
game. Those TBS Thursday night games.
Nebraska was up. Jamal Lord throws the bones or whatever, and next thing you know, Missouri goes off.
But no, my junior year we're down there, and we did not play very good defensively. We still had a shot, but Brad Smith,
he went off.
He did go off. We did not communicate. We had some busts defensively. One of our worst games defensively I think we had my junior year. But we're on the bus, literally waiting to go to the airport after the game, and there's like 3 drunk college kids. And they come up and just start pissing all over our bus.
Could you open the window?
I wanted to go out there. I remember Jim Rose, who was calling the games at the time, was sitting just next to me, and I'm like, I got to go out there. Like, this is not right. He's like, don't do it. Don't cause a scene. You don't need to be doing anything. But I want to go out there and
crack some skulls.
Yeah, make them bite through their tongue. You know.
Mm-hmm.
So, but thankfully I did. I didn't need to be part of another lawsuit.
You've had quite the experience.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, between Missouri and Boulder and
Norman.
Yeah, Norman. Man.
Anywhere else, nothing terrible at Iowa State, nothing bad at Kansas.
Were you on the 70-10 trip?
Yeah.
Yeah. Was that crazy?
It wasn't.
Were they just flinging tortillas down at Texas Tech?
Like, that was such a blur just because it seemed like we never left the field because as soon as we did, we threw another interception. We were right back out there, and they had the ball on the 15, and it was just like.
Did you guys go code red on the quarterback?
We're just like, what are we doing? Like, run the goddamn ball.
Let us get out of here.
Let's go home. Like, we're not winning this thing. Like, quit throwing the ball, Bo Davis. Like, don't quit calling him to throw the ball. Let's go home. Like, we're not winning this football game.
You walk up and put your arm around Callahan.
It's like, hey, Bill.
Hey, by the way, it's 70-10. Pirate didn't get in.
Yeah, that's one of those where you ran off the field as quickly as possible. You got in the showers, and it's like, get us the F out of here. That was embarrassing.
Run the bleeping football. There we go. A statement from Jay Moore. I like it. We'll get to the Friday forecast. We're here at the Mercado, North 84th, certified Piedmontese, the official beef of Nebraska football. Hail Varsity continues, presented by the Nebraska Lottery.
He's in his 30s, but sounds like he was born with a stogie in one hand and a brew in the other.
Now, say my name.
It's Schmitty on Hail Varsity Radio.
I got the body of a taut, preteen Swedish boy.
Back with you, it's Hail Varsity Radio, presented by the Nebraska Lottery. Chris Schmidt, Blankshirt, Husker, NFLer. Jay Moore, run the football, Jay. And Elijah Herbal back at our ESPN studios. We will bring Elijah Herbal in for the final ruling on the efforting on one Clausburn. He's imaginary and he wears red. 12 years ago, Clausburn made an appearance with a naughty and nice list. Each year it's progressed to more commentary on somebody named Carl. Elijah, do we have Claus?
We do not. No, I got sent to voicemail twice. So
he's with a client, allegedly.
Whatever that means.
Or is he the client? Oh, yeah. We invite you out here to the Mercado, certified Piedmontese, North 84th. They're open 10 to 7 every day for you. So get that Christmas roast. I am taking the burn end brisket goodness home with me. There's prepackaged, so it's outstanding. So let's get into the forecast on Hail Varsity. Let's get it cranked up, Elijah. So quite a few games to pick from, and I don't know that it's a great weekend of college football, but you have college football, Jay.
It's better than none.
No, absolutely. So we will start off with Wisconsin at Iowa. The line now is -1 Wisconsin. The Badgers looked like garbage and lost to a really good Indiana team with a backup quarterback. Iowa's won 5 straight. I'm trying to make it 6 in a row and finish 6-2. I like Iowa.
Me too.
Wisconsin's got the better quarterback. Wisconsin also lost their starting center. I love Iowa's defensive tackles on the interior. Give me a first team to 17 type ball game. And I like the Hawkeyes 17-14 the win. And give me the points at a empty Kinnick. Jay.
Yeah, I like Iowa as well. Their defensive line is really good with Golston and Dixon. Those guys are good ball players. Yeah, give me similar. I think I'll take Iowa 21, Wisconsin 17. Similar low scoring, but maybe a couple extra field goals here and there.
Okay, Elijah, what do you like here? Do you like Wisconsin or do you like Iowa? And I know you don't like either, but you got to pick a winner here on Saturday. Who is it?
I think we got a classic grinded-out Big Ten football game. I know Graham Mertz, you said probably the better quarterback for these two teams, but I still think that this is Wisconsin and Iowa, and we're going to get a game like we expect. First team to 20 points. For me, I think that's Wisconsin. I think their offense is just a little bit better. Give me Wisconsin at 24, Iowa 20.
Okay, it's a little more scoring. I just really think it's going to be your typical Iowa-Wisconsin. You get a special teams mistake or you get a turnover. There's your difference in the matchup between these two. Let's head down to Miami. The Canes are angling for a New Year's Day 6 bowl under Diaz, and they kept Diaz, and there were some eyebrows raised, but I'll say this, he is recruited well, and they're playing good football. De'Ara King is no accident for them. He's fantastic, and Miami's not had a quarterback down there for quite a while. Carolina and Mac had a great first half against Notre Dame, but shut out in the second half. I like Carolina, but I like Miami a little bit more just because they're at home. Give me the Canes to beat the Heels. This thing should be pretty exciting and a little more scoring. I like Miami 34-28, the win and cover for the Canes against Carolina. What do you think, Jay Moore?
You almost picked my score.
Huh.
I got Miami 34-27.
Oh,
so
there we go.
Great minds think alike. Yeah, I think Miami, they got too much firepower. They're playing good football.
You and I have been sniffing glue.
Well,
both. So Jay says the Canes win and the Canes cover. Elijah Herbal, what say you?
We got two high-powered offenses here in Miami and North Carolina. It's Howell from North Carolina, I think, is the quarterback there. He's been piling up numbers this year. So it's going to come down to which defense shows up a little bit better. I think Miami's got more to play for. They're, again, as you said, going for that New Year's Six bowl. So I got Miami 41, North Carolina 34, Miami with the win and cover.
Yep, I think points are the way to go on that one. Utah and Colorado, this got switched up a bit. You've got a winless Utah team, but the number is pretty low. Colorado is only a favorite, the Buffs -2. We talked to Barney yesterday. And Colorado's on the short end of it, and none of us weep for that. But you have USC, that because they're ranked higher, Colorado's coming in ranked 22nd at 4-0. The USC-Colorado game got postponed due to COVID. It was supposed to be in L.A. a couple of weeks ago. Well, that game didn't get played, and you have both teams that are your clear leaders and favorites. Oregon's faded, obviously. Washington's not as good as they've been in past years. So right now it's really SC and Colorado, but they're not going to make it up. So CU may end up in the Alamo Bowl opposed to being undefeated and having a shot at a New Year's Day 6. I think Colorado gets by Utah by a field goal. I think this is back and forth. I think the Buffs hang on in a game that will be all about taking care of the football. That's every game, but with Utah especially important for Colorado. Give me Colorado 28-24, the win and cover over Utah. Jay.
Yeah, I'll take Colorado on this one as well. Playing decent football. Utah has just kind of been, the Pac-12 has been a mess as well, just like the Big Ten has been this year with getting games played, and they obviously got off to even a later start than the Big Ten. Give me Colorado 31-21 in this football game.
Elijah, who do you like, Colorado or Utah?
I like Colorado a little bit better in this one. It's supposed to be cold weather out in Boulder. Snow flurries maybe for the game, similar to our game tomorrow with Minnesota. And currently Colorado's got the number 2 running back in the nation based on yards per game. It's Jarek Broussard. So I got to roll with that in a cold weather game. Give me Colorado 28, Utah 17. Buffs winning cover.
Let's go to Northwestern and Illinois. The rivalry for the battle for Illinois/Chicago. I hate this line. I don't like Northwestern favored by 14 over anybody. I don't know if Northwestern can score 14. They may be able to score 14 because their defense will hold an offense to 10. Northwestern will win tomorrow. I don't like the 14. Lovey's team's playing better football. They jumped out 14 rip on Iowa. Give me Northwestern in a tight one, 24-17. The win by Northwestern, but no cover. Jay.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think Northwestern wins this one in like 10.
Okay.
It's more of, it's a 24-14 type of ball game, so I'll take that. They'll give them the win there, but not the cover.
Elijah, what do you got?
Yeah, Northwestern, they got the Big Ten championship game next weekend. This game looks like one that they can overlook completely in my book. I got Northwestern win, Illinois cover. Give me Northwestern 17 and Illinois 10. Low scoring.
Okay. Let's get to Nebraska and Minnesota. I like the Huskers. I like the first team to 30 again. And I think that'll be Nebraska. I don't like the 10.5. Give me Nebraska a win by 10, 31-21. But the hook will get you, and that's why Minnesota covers. Jay.
Yeah, I think Nebraska comes out and plays well. I do. Knock on wood. I predicted on Big Red Wrap-Up with our prediction, me and Michael Severe. I said 38-21.
Okay.
I'm sticking to it.
So 17, says Jay Bird. Elijah, what's your take on tomorrow?
I'm with you. First one to 30. Give me Huskers 37. And give me Minnesota 28. So Huskers win by 9. No cover, but it's close.
All right, we'll wind down a Friday on the road here at the Mercado. Certified Piedmontese, the official beef of Nebraska football. We'll say goodbye next on Hail Varsity.
Miss us?
Come here, brother. Give me a hug. Bring it in for the real thing.
We're on call for you. Catch the podcast at hailvarsity.com, the ESPN Lincoln app, or download them on iTunes.
Saddle up, partner.
Back to Hail Varsity Radio.
One final time here at the Mercado for a Friday road show. North 84th, Certified Piedmontese, Chris Schmidt, Blackshirt Husker NFLer Jay Moore, Elijah Herbal. Weekend edition tomorrow morning, 7 to 9 ahead of Nebraska, Minnesota. Real Red Reaction follows immediately following Nebraska, Minnesota on ESPN Lincoln. Myself, Bill Hooks, of course, Nick Greguth. So we'll be three-man attack for the Real Red Reaction tomorrow after Nebraska, Minnesota. So, Jay, we're all pretty confident Nebraska has learned their lesson. What's a yardage number? And Elijah, I want you jumping in on this too. I think Mills needs 20 touches for 100 yards. Give me that stat line and Nebraska wins. I don't know what percentage Mills is. I just know Nebraska plays more physical with him running downhill and gives Nebraska a bit more of a bravado. At least it looked that way against Purdue last week. It helped things out. It took a little pressure off of Adrian, and I liked the crossing routes too with Wandale. I think Nebraska can do that. They could maybe break off some big runs as well against a messy back seven, to be honest with you, for Minnesota. So to me, that's what needs to happen. I think it can happen. For you, what's your kind of over-under rushing number for Mills?
Gosh, this is a game where he can go off. He should be decently fresh. Hasn't played a ton this year. Obviously, he was banged up a little bit coming out of the Penn State game. I would say, again, getting him over 100 yards should be attainable. I think, Nebraska total as a team, I think I could see, them getting to 250, total with some QB run game in there and just maybe some protections that break down and Adrian's or whoever, maybe Luke's in there is able to scramble and pick up some yards. So I think they're able to do that. It's just going to be interesting to see how the weather plays, 11 a.m. kick. Are they going to try to throw it, or are they going to try to establish a run? And then see how then is Minnesota going to load up the box, and then boom, we're going to switch it. We're going to try to stretch the field and get behind you a little bit. So it's going to be interesting seeing the game plan. But you see if Nebraska goes tempo at all in this game. Didn't see it a ton against Purdue, but the defense is playing well, so maybe they do go tempo. But
any worry about Nebraska's defensive front holding up against the Minnesota rush?
No, I don't think so. I mean, after we've seen them against Iowa. It's one of the best running teams in the Big Ten. I feel pretty confident that they can hold up against Ibrahim whoever is playing. We still don't know who's going to play for Minnesota.
Elijah, your thought here. What's over-under rushing number for Mills and Nebraska total for a win?
Well, for Mills, I'm looking in that 4.5 to 5 yards per carry tomorrow. That would be awesome to get. So that's 15 carries, 80 yards, somewhere in that range, 20 for 100. Those would both hit that total. As a team, I'm with Jay. 250 yards seems attainable once you get the quarterbacks in that run game, maybe some wide receivers as well, and some jet sweeps. And I like that. 250 yards rushing should be a number that the Huskers should be looking to hit tomorrow.
All right, that is Elijah Herbal. This is Jay Moore, Chris Schmidt. It's Hail Varsity Roadshow Friday, the Mercado. God love you, Mercado, for having us out here. Certified Piedmontese, the official beef of Nebraska football. Get out here. They're open every day, 10 to 7. Pick up that Christmas roast. Just get yourself a steak. Find that beautiful roast for Pot Roast Sunday. And I'm going to scamper out of here with some brisket and burnt ends to just get fat and happy on a Friday, man. All right, we'll talk to you tomorrow morning, weekend edition at 7 a.m. Bird, good to see you.
Yeah.
Thanks so much, Elijah. Back at you tomorrow morning on Hail Varsity, presented by the Nebraska Lottery.